When you look at this picture, what do you see?
I see someone's drunk my Guinness.
I lived in an old people's home for 9 years growing up, and I observed this daily. People's outlooks on life were not related to their circumstances. You could have a lady who'd had a stroke, couldn't eat solids, had crippling arthritis and couldn't feed herself, and had a son that came to visit her once a week, and yet she'd be grateful for every little thing you did for her. And then you can have a man that could eat, talk, move, had lots of family to come and see him, and yet he'd be miserable. And vice versa. The variety of different circumstances never produced a pattern. After a few years, I realised that the circumstances were irrelevant. It was the perspective that was all that mattered. Now, the concept of loss is hardwired into our genome. Other mammals in the kingdom experience the same hormonal reaction to loss too. So, cats, dogs, farm animals, whales. Maybe lizards do, but I'm pretty sure insects don't. Having said that, I'm no Dr. Doodle, so I don't know. But we in society have created the concept of failure. It doesn't hang on trees. It doesn't grow from the ground. I'm sure there's some tribe out there that doesn't even have a word for failure. But I can bet you one thing, they're happy. As the years tick on and the perceived failures can get bigger and bigger, marriage, career, parenting, if we don't have this ability to adjust the shades, we can get really weighed down. But if we can learn to adjust the sunnies and practice adjusting them, then we can handle problems that would floor others. In psychology, this is called cognitive reframing.
Okay, well, I'm not a kid, and I must have been sick the day they taught this at brain school.
Right, of course. So what do you do if you haven't had the practice and you're currently in the process of being crushed by 200 kilos of failure and loss? Well, firstly, realise that this is what it is, and that's why it's such a struggle. Like Michael Caine said,
if you're a big man but you're in bad shape, with me it's a full-time job. Now behave yourself.
As soon as you take the time to piece it together and track it in your mind, even that'll make a big difference. You can pat yourself on the back because you've just proven that your hormonal loss mechanism works brilliantly at a biological level. That's awesome! Tick!
Yeah.
Okay, try and enjoy even that process. Savor it. Keep coming back to it. At a biological level, you work perfectly. That's the beginning.
Not like this guy.
But I guess that's a cognitive reframing of sorts. Secondly, start with the small light stuff, just like you would in the weights room. You know, like those training montages in films where they start out and they can't do it, and by the end, they're rinsing it out. That's you. You're the star in your own movie, and everything before in your life was the perfect setup for this scene now. It couldn't have been written any better. If you took this to a movie producer like Spielberg, he'd think it was gold. So how to start with the small stuff? Be grateful to yourself. Start saying thank you to yourself for everything you do. Let's call it self-thanking.
You want me to self-thank myself?
I think he's mad. Yeah, and find a reason to say thank you to yourself too. Using your left brain to justify that thanks cements it. Now this is self-nurturing and will help rebuild your self-esteem too, but being grateful for what you do means you're doing it, which rebuilds your self-confidence.
So what sort of things am I thanking?
Okay, at the most basic level, you may have to start with thanking yourself for just getting up, doing your ablutions and eating. So like,
thanks, Leroy, for getting me through the night and giving me another shot of the day. Thanks, Leroy, for brushing your teeth so they don't rot out your head.
Yeah, thanks, Leroy, for making breakfast. I'm actually hungry. And these are really basic, but these are all things that you can have a perception on, so think of them as warm-up. People, when they first start meditating, can find it hard to keep a void of thought, an empty head. So they fill their mind with one thought, or sequence, or mantra, which has a controlled hormonal reaction. See, one controlled thought is better than 10 disparate thoughts with a variety of hormonal reactions. The conscious brain only really thinks of one thing at a time, so recondition and reprogram your nervous system with reps of gratitude. From there, it's easier to be grateful to others. And doing this means that you're subconsciously enlisting them on your team. Everyone's your friend. Everyone's trying to help you. You've just got to find a way of looking at it with the shades. So practice reframing the small stuff first, all day, every day. It will be tiring because you're not conditioned for this. That's cool. That's telling you you're making gains. If you want to lift 200 kilos, you've got to start with 20. That's the small stuff. Basically, this is emotional biomechanics. It's emo mechanics. Oh, I'm painting that. 20%, 20%. Boom, there you go. We'll negotiate. I hope this helps. If it has, make the positive move of hitting the like button. And if you feel my vibe, please subscribe. Woo!